All right, welcome back to the channel. I am RevKev, your host. As promised in this video, we're going to put the Ridge Racer U4 by Rock Hobby / FMS back together. I'm going to show you how I did it. First, I have a seat because I'm old. In a previous video, this was disassembled. All I've simply done off camera is put the motor mount or the motor mounting plate back inside the motor mount and started the screws loosely so I can adjust the pinion and spur mesh. Center diff, this is the bearing. I know that it goes this direction because this bearing is gone. The other side bearing is still in the truck on the other half of the mount. Now to adjust the mesh, I'm gonna open it all the way up, seat this all the way in. Just give you a quick demo real quick of just how smooth this bearing is and how nice this truck is in its construction. All right, so now I can adjust the mesh. There's lots of ways to do this. People have all kinds. I'm going to show you what mine is with Arma style. I will probably use that reference quite a bit because they use a two-piece mount plating system words. I'm just going to give those a slight bit of tension. And what I look to see is a good mesh here. But what I actually do is I listen. I'm looking for what I call the Arma sound. When you roll an Arma on the ground, it has a particular tune. And whenever you check the mesh, you get about that much play in the gear lash, I guess that's what that's called. So if I push it in a little bit, that's not easy to detect because the screws are somewhat tight, but that is a little bit tighter. I would say that is probably too tight. Yeah, I don't hear any of the backlash. So I'm gonna wiggle that, get a little bit more. Well, let me wiggle a little bit more. All right, one of these is too tight. There we go. That, to me, in my experience with all of my RCs that use this kind of mount, this is a Mod 1 gearing. That's what these gears are. I can just tell by looking at them. I'm doing this so many times with all the RCs. So these use the 2.5 millimeter. Make sure these are nice and snug. I do these by hand because I need a particular kind of torque. They might have torque specs. I just kind of make them tight and then a little bit more. So that sounds right. You can see that the pinion gear is pretty much flush with the end of the motor shaft, and that has gotten us a very, very nice flush relationship between the pinion and the spur. So now that this is reassembled, I'm going to shove it back in the truck. And I'll show you the only thing that I found cumbersome was getting this edge past the battery tray. It catches right here. So a little bit of persuasion, a little bit of pressure, and it will go back in there. So buckle up because we're going to put together for the first time, put this thing back in here. Perhaps I will remove this momentarily. Get this lined up. Yeah, that was the right call. So the issue I had was trying to get this edge past this battery strap box portion. And yeah, I think now that I'm doing it again, let me go ahead and pre-stage these kind of down. so they'll go in there easier. Yeah. There we go. Shove that bad boy in there. Wow, that was way easier. I'm gonna let that sit. I'm gonna grab another magnet here. Little tip here. You can go in there with pliers if you want to. I'm just gonna use my magnet. Grab a hold of that dog bone center drive shaft. Go ahead and place this in here. Oh, flip it around. That bearing is already in there. Once I get it stuck in there, I'll show you. See, now we're good. I'm going to check, make sure the dog bone didn't slip out inside of there. That's got a nice rubber seal, like a dust boot. Yeah, that's the right word, dust boot in there. So that dog bone is less likely to fall out and get messed up with grime. I had previously tied off my rear drive shaft because it was flopping around and getting in my way. So I'm going to free that back up because I'm fixing to have to put it back. Go ahead and get this out of the way too. Get you out of the way. Great. All right. Now you'll notice here, I'm just going to put this out. I took off this side of the trailing arm. That's what that's called. I promise I know what I'm doing. Took off the side of the trailing arm to open this up enough to free the dog bone end of the center diff. So that's actually a lot easier than a lot of other RCs. And this fastener is available on the outside to get to. Super duper easy. Now, you may have noticed the shape. It's like, has like an incline and then it flattens out. Well, that's the shape of the chassis too. So the motor mount and chassis are keyed into each other. All right. So now that that is, slip that past there. Let's see if I can get this bearing to locate easily. It's all going to happen at once. Oh, there it goes. All right, holding the motor in place. I can hear it cycling, so I know that everything from here that way is connected. All right, now I can take this dog bone, push it back, pull it back forward. Now again, I'm doing that from right here. All right, that's done. Now I'm going to grab this, what is that, 7? I think it's a 7. 7. Yep, it's a 7. This is a T-wrench that comes with basically every 6S Arma. Slip that back on there. That's how it should go back on. Nice and easy. There is no phasing or alignment of the joints front and rear of the drive shaft because they're dog bones. They're fixed. You can't do it wrong. If it goes in the slot, it's correct. Boom. Nice nylock nut there. That is exceptionally easy. So again, everything's captured enough that we can test the drive, and the drive is working just fine. Just gonna get these started. Oh. Very good. We'll get you started. All right, switch on back to this guy. Save some time. Okay, I'm going to hand tighten these. I don't know what spec this thing is. Also, MIP is kind of the only choice in RC tools in my book. They will get fasteners out that will appear to be stripped and ruined, and just the quality is unmistakable. All right, get you out of the way. So that all sounds exactly right. Now, if you hear an Arma or even some new Losies, you recognize that sound. That sounds perfect. All right, let's move this out of the way. Take our motor wires. This is supposed to be zip tied to this top plate. Yes. Put the top plate back in. That's what this mounts to. So I'll just kind of move you out of the way. That sits right in there. Very nicely. All right, we got some screws. I'm just going to dump these out since they're all the same. Calm down. All right, these two actually are longer, but those are going to be for when we stack this onto that top plate to go down into the motor mount. So everything that's not those only goes through one item before it gets screwed in. So loosely tighten down. These don't need to be torqued down very tight. When the driver stops, I found that's typically plenty. I use it as a little don't strip it out gauge. Put this back on here, get all these things out of the way. Cool. Feels good. That sounds fantastic. Okay, I'm just going to zip tie some of this stuff up here, but for all intents and purposes, the repair and the reassembly is complete. So I'm just going to zip tie these wires back in place. These were zip tied up here on this top brace. The motor wires are already back in place. Just going to kind of make sure those are seated nicely. Next up after this is going to be the programming of this ESC to get better performance out of basically everything: lighting, servo, and punch and brakes. All right, thanks for stopping by. Throw me a like. If you think you want to see more of this, hit that subscribe button. You know how it works. Comment down below any thoughts, or if you also use the Arma sound to establish your gear mesh, because it's worked for me forever. So anyway, thanks for stopping by.